You wrecked my engine of destruction, and now we gotta ride the bone train. Hey, but welcome to Back Issues of Sal.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Ben.
As we roll down the road to the Dark Crisis, I decided to throw Elaine away. There was another chapter that kind of counts, and I was just like, I don't want to do that.
We're gonna pass that exit.
We're just gonna pass that exit and just go right to the death of the Justice League. Written by Joshua Williamson with art by Rafa Sandoval. It's the death of the Justice League.
I know
what it
this.
says.
This is in that video game, right? Suicide Squad kills the Justice League?
Oh, man. Why'd you have to remind everyone about that?
I don't even know what that is.
It's this awful decision that Rocksteady made. The studio's like, no, you're doing a Suicide Squad versus the Justice League game where you're the Suicide Squad and you murder every single member of the Justice League. Won't that be fun? Because they're evil, you see, and they're murderers themselves, so it is okay to do it. And it's like, what? Oh, and it's also going to be always online. This book is almost entirely just because Joshua Williamson is a fan of mid-90s comics, and everything about that is on display, and I think Josh was doing regular appearances on our channel when this was coming out, and so we were able to kind of like hype it up, talk about it a little bit, and give insight into it. So if you want more, check out our conversations with Josh. But I will share a couple of things, like the fact that there is an initiative from the mid-90s that featured DC Comics superhero covers that had this great die cut where everything was black, and then when you flipped it, it showed you the whole cover underneath it.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
He wanted to do that with this. He wanted to die. He loves the die cut. And the die cut cover, that's not technically what this is, because this is still a full sheet.
Oh, that was like a partial.
Yeah, the
sheet?
die cut cover cut out the lettering or the image.
Hence a
So
cut.
that it was actually like a window.
Right. They
Yeah, this
punched
is a
holes in it.
transparent
This is
Yes,
cover.
transparent. Oh,
but
this
that
is
would have cost too
higher tech.
much. But this is a little bit more.
This also protects the artwork inside. I get the reasoning behind
It's a real cover.
It is a real cover, and it also looks great, and it works. I think it sold incredibly well, and I'm sure that the fact that it had a gimmick cover on it helped in some regard.
Sure.
Mostly because it had very little competition. You know, in the 90s, we were like, puh, gimmick covers, not just because they were horrible, but also because there were a dime a dozen. Everybody's
Every
doing a
cover
gimmick
was a gimmick
cover.
cover, yeah.
Every cover was a gimmick cover. But now, there were no more gimmick covers. This is a special thing. It's an oddity.
That's why you don't do it too much.
That's
So
right.
that you can still have it be special sometimes.
Yeah.
I like that it's die cut for Death of the Justice League.
You know, I don't think Josh brought up that double entendre, but I think it definitely fits.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. He's
It's
like,
a shame
no,
he didn't. That
it
would've
has to
killed."
be a die cut. Yes, it's very true. The other thing that he wanted to make sure of was that even though Justice League, the book, had been canceled or put on hiatus, the issue that they debuted, The Death of the Justice League, had to be number 75. Because Superman 75 is the issue where Superman died.
Okay.
So they did some careful maneuvering and
hit that
retroactively
arbitrary
made
goal.
Justice League number 75 the Death of the Justice League.
Justice League 75? There's only been 75 Justice League books?
No, there have been hundreds.
Oh, they restarted the numbering?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But they finagled the numbers so that...
I guess
no,
the same with Death of Superman. That was...
No, I mean, Superman had been rebooted. There had not been... Well, yeah. In the 90s, there was a new volume of Superman, and that volume got up to 75.
Right, it was 75 of that.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But that was more earned because
You
it started
finagled
with
the
one.
numbers.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, no, they definitely... They switched the numbers on us with this one. So, how did we get to the Death of the Justice League if there is no Justice League? Well, it all
I guess
started-
that is sort of a Death of the Justice League.
How
Yeah.
long had there not been Justice League when this came out? Was this like Justice League had been over for like a year? And
Yeah.
then they dropped this?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It started with The Infinite Frontier. Because The Infinite Frontier wasn't just a comic book publishing initiative from DC, it was also a book you could read. And it set up all the stuff that was coming from Joshua Williamson and company and the Dark Crisis. And I think the first issue of Infinite Crisis, or Zero issue or whatever, was just, here are the books that are coming out from DC Comics or something, and we'll tie in a weird, like, thread of Wonder Woman having elevated to a higher state of being, and she runs into the Quintessence, and she's like, I guess I'll join you. Well, they're like, we want you to join us. And she's like, nah, I'll just be Wonder Woman over there, and do a really great first volume of her new series. And then she gets this prophetic notion that the Spectre's missing and that big changes are a-coming and she'd better be ready for them because, it wasn't that long ago that she turned gold and killed the Batman Who Laughs or whatever the hell happened.
Yeah.
Darkseid was revealed to be a big bad, but not the big bad behind this big problem they have. And we saw that, like, on Earth Omega, which was hidden from them, and not to be confused with the Elseworld, which had at the point of this book, but also up until the Absolute period, not been defined or established. But now we know here in the future that it is the Absolute world. Mm-hmm. Where Absolute Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman and Green Lantern and everybody live.
Yeah.
The Darkseid kind of engineered, but no one was thinking about that when they made this, so don't worry about that. But the Darkseid was in service to the Great Darkness, and that was the big concern.
Yeah.
And Barry Allen got out of Wally West's way and went into the multiverse, and then gets lost, and then is found, and then is put into a big, complicated, stupid machine, and then Pariah finds him on the other side of the multiverse, and then he is trapped on an Earth, which is called Earth Flash.1. And it's engineered by Pariah, a lame nothing character from Crisis on Infinite Earths. And Josh would be very cross to hear me say that because he was like adamant that Pariah be at the centrifuge of this whole thing. That like Pariah is the key to all of this.
We got to get Pariah working.
Pariah, my wife's least favorite character in the entire DC pantheon. Because he's a big whiny crybaby, and she's right.
Yeah.
But now he's not. He hasn't cried at all in this entire event.
No.
But he is engineering some machinations in servitude to the Great Darkness.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then we got Justice League Incarnate, which was a big complicated mess that we also talked about, which featured characters like the Chinese Flash and Calvin Ellis Superman and Captain Carrot and Dr. Multiverse. But it also brought Darkseid and the Justice League Incarnate together.
Well, Darkseid had a plan to fight the darkness.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But it didn't.
It did not work.
It didn't work.
At the end of Justice League Incarnate, the big fight takes place on Earth 7.
Darkseid jumps into the
Remember
Great
the
Darkness.
This world is too fragile for crossovers, and then sends them away. Like, okay, the Justice League Incarnate calls the real Justice League.
Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't work out for them.
What makes you say that?
So maybe this isn't the death of our Justice League. This is the death of the Justice League that calls the real Justice League.
Nope. It's the real Justice League.
Yeah, because that's Justice League Incarnate. That's a complete. You gotta. If you don't say Incarnate, you mean the real Justice League.
That's right. Yeah. Though the Justice League Incarnate also falls under the might of the Great Darkness. Well, yeah. It'd be like, oh no. It'd be just like, okay, so who at the executive level has a hard-on for the Justice League
The
Incarnate?
lesson is you don't need the real Justice League because the Justice League Incarnate is good enough.
They are not. And also they have the whole multiverse to contend with.
Yeah.
Whereas the main Justice League just tries to take care of one Earth and every single multiversal crisis that happens within the span of their books.
Yeah.
But also they
Aren't,
introduced Dr. Multiverse, and she's pretty neat.
Isn't there a thing where the multiverse is being like destroyed and shit?
Yeah,
Also-
it went away. When you had the Batman Who Laughs become the Darkest Knight and then grab them like they were softballs and throw them at Perpetua, the great progenitor of the multiverse itself.
Right.
Like they were at some kind of a carnival at a dunk toss.
And their whole universes.
Their whole universe is represented in a planet. But yeah, he's whipping them. He's taking bites out of them. It's just, I mean, that's pretty traumatic. I feel like.
Call me Galactus.
Yeah. The Justice League proper is kidnapped by the Justice League Incarnate out of wherever they are. So, of course, we need to open with Black Adam because it's 2022 and there is this huge movie coming and it's about to change the power dynamic of the entire DC universe. Oh, or it will
they're
bomb
supposed to.
colossally. And it will not only hurt
never
the
mind.
entire trajectory of that universe, but also The Rock's career. So unrelated, Black Adam is captured by the Justice League Incarnate, something that Justice League Incarnate would never do.
It'd be amazing if he's flying on the sky and they just erase him
Right.
and they replace him with somebody else. It's not Black Adam. It was Superman.
Yeah.
Just fucking retcon the
They
board.
should do that at some point and go, every scene with Black Adam is actually occupied by Sideways or static.
Or anyone.
Anyone that needs a boost
to us,
that isn't embarrassing
Yeah.
to see. It will get worse.
It's Mixie Split like doing shit.
Please. That would be so earned because people who think that Black Adam is totally awesome will be like, damn it! Because Mixie Split like that's goofy nonsense.
Yeah,
Black Adam.
and that's what we're
Deadly
replacing your book
serious.
with.
Yeah, that's how you end it. So the Justice League is kidnapped, and they're all just being plucked from their books at the time.
Justice
Meanwhile,
League Incarnate has the power to do that?
well, they can teleport people, and so they just selectively teleport the Justice League.
That's a very powerful.
It's like
Yeah.
having the Watchtower, but like multiversal.
Exactly. Yeah, the House of Heroes can do that.
Oh,
so
the House of Heroes,
they're
right.
doing that. The Titans are the premier team on Earth Zero because there's no more Justice League book, and we want to kind of elevate the Titans. And they never really get there, but let's presume they do. So each member of the Justice League is kidnapped. Black Canary is being teleported while she's hanging out with Green Arrow, and he's like, wait, no! And he just, surprise, with her.
Oh,
and
he rides along?
He rides along, like the whale biologist from Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
And so everyone gets teleported to the House of Heroes. And Green Arrow was not invited, but Joshua Williamson loves Green Arrow, so he's going to be in the book too. And so the Justice League meets the Justice League Incarnate again. I mean, they've known each other. Although they weren't called the Justice League Incarnate at the time. So now they can get the new patches and stickers and stuff. Also, you will see some familiar/unfamiliar faces. Like you'll see John Stewart Green Lantern, and he looks like he is a Green Lantern construct.
Yeah.
And don't worry about that. Jeff Thorne wrote a big, sprawling epic about John Stewart and the Green Lanterns, and people were really mad about it. And what matters is he's super powerful now, but it isn't enough.
He's super powerful and glows green.
What does that mean?
Yes.
He is green.
Super powerful. In comparison to what?
In comparison to his previous self.
Oh, okay. What about in comparison to other Green Lanterns?
I mean,
Like Hal Jordan.
well, we don't need to worry about that because they're not in this.
I see.
So let's just assume that he is the most powerful Green Lantern available at the time.
Okay. I do not care for that suit.
It's
I
awful.
thought he was Beast Boy.
I'm not a fan myself. I don't like it, but I also understand that it's thematically relevant to the story that he was from.
Yeah.
And sure,
Ethan also doesn't like Martian Manhunter.
because he's green. Yeah,
Exactly.
we found out what it really is. Ethan doesn't like green people.
I like Martian Manhunter. I think that's a cool design.
Yeah, I also like
I
Martian.
think that Green Lantern design sucks ass.
Well, it looks like he's naked and has a bunch of like upper body tattoos.
It looks like he's in Tron or something. Like
Yeah.
he's like it from a digital world or some
Well,
shit.
he is
he
teeming
looks
with
wrong.
energy. Like he's super powerful,
Yeah,
man.
but it looks like he's not like from here.
Yeah, it
he's
looks
from,
like he
another-
made himself.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm gonna be present in the story.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna send a construct
Like
of
he's
myself.
No, he is not telecommuting into this job.
Oh, that's what it looks like.
That's the God Storm. It's making him super cool and powerful. Just stop focusing on Jon Stewart, okay? He doesn't matter in this.
I mean, if it's the Godstorm, he this
Oh, he
powerful
doesn't
enough. He
matter?
could teleport
Real
in.
nice.
I mean, he matters, okay? He's here, isn't he? But
Oh, sure, he's
At least
here.
he gets to be here. I guess he should be happy with that. Just getting to be there, that's enough.
I don't see Guy. And he's the first official Green Lantern we're ever going to see in the new DC cinematic universe. So, you know, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
Superman pals around with Captain Carrot. Ah, my good old friend. Totally not a joke, Captain Carrot.
Uh-huh.
Here's a little menagerie of who's who.
Right. In
case
case you didn't know who was
don't
on the
remember,
friggin' Justice League.
You know, like Avery Ho, technically a Flash of Earth Zero, not to be confused with Bart Allen, who's technically from the future, or Barry Allen, who's not here, and in fact not even in the multiverse, or Wally West, who's just not here, or Max Mercury,
Or Jay Garrick.
or Jay Garrick.
Right. Flash number 12.
Yep, it's Flash 105, Dino Cop, who's totally not, Savage Dragon, Mary Marvel, Aquawoman, Captain Carrot, and Thunderer. Don't worry about them. They don't matter in this story either. This is a Justice League book.
Yeah, this is Death of Justice League.
And listen, you want to see another story about that? Watch our episode about Justice League Incarnate and pick up a copy. It's fun.
Legally, he has to put that in quotes.
I think it's pretty fun. We had a blast talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't recall either of you complaining. Anyway, President Superman shows up with Dr. Multiverse. I find it odd that no one stops him there and goes, I'm sorry, but Dr. Multiverse sucks.
That's a horrible name.
That's a first idea.
Yeah.
Could you give me any other? You know what? Let's just take a minute before we hear the
What's
crisis
your
hand.
actual last name?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call you that.
What
Yeah.
is your doctorate in?
Multiverses. Oh, really? Because I feel like if I'm a comic book reader, I technically qualify. I know, it's just bestowing ourselves with honorary degrees anyway.
Right.
I have a doctorate in ghosts.
I'm gonna call you Dr. Ghost.
That's a better name than Dr. Multiverse. Dr. Multiverse and President Superman, they used to bang, but they don't anymore. Remember, in another reality.
Oh yeah.
When it was like almost real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, they're there, and he's like, yeah, Dr. Multiverse here. She is. She went through an ordeal, and she's not even gonna have a line in this scene. But here she is anyway, just in case you didn't read that
She
book.
hops through multiverses, right?
She can, yes.
Isn't she like the most real character then?
I mean, technically, yes, because she exists in all, but they could just travel to them themselves anyway. They have a beautiful magical ship that is fueled by dreams and wishes and songs.
I'm now remembering. Did they live in a like normal person universe?
Yes, where comic books
are.
Are real and the DC universe
Yeah.
exists, and they have to like convince Dan DiDio to approve their book.
Yeah, and they were there for like a year or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now they're just back to being like, well, that was weird.
Yes.
Now I'm hopping universes again.
They were in that universe long enough to fall in love, move in together, and break up.
break up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Also, we did a good enough job of convincing Dan DiDio that we should exist because we actually exist again.
Well, that's true.
That's right.
But they're also essential to the story, so he's not just gonna unilaterally write them out of this Death of the Justice League book. So Superman demands to know what's going on, and President Superman gives a 5-6 speech bubble explanation of that entire book, which, I mean, bravo, except that Josh wrote the damn thing, so I'm like, I mean, you better be able to do that. That's one of his major tips on writing, is just like, you better be able to sell your concept. You know, you gotta have like a pitch, but you gotta have like an elevator pitch. You gotta be ready to just sell this thing, especially if it's esoteric and insane.
Yeah, so what was that story about? It's about this, this, and this.
Got it. Thank you. Approve.
And I'm gonna recap that in every story I do.
Well, I better, because they're all hinged together. But yeah, he's like, listen, you're Flash, the one you like. Sorry, Avery. You need to know that he is trapped in another weird, twisted reality. Darkseid's taken over by the Great Darkness, and the Great Darkness, if you're not familiar, is a great evil that has awakened, that actually might be responsible for everything, and everyone is afraid of it, even people who have no business being afraid of it, so you should be more afraid of it. Who's got something to say? Wonder Woman's like, hey, in Infinite Frontier, I was looking for the Spectre for a little while. And like, Spectre's dead, don't worry about that. She's like, oh no, that's a problem.
that sucks.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah. Try to keep up.
but they don't have time for that because
Man, he's dead.
and then the Great Darkness shows up and attacks the House of Heroes. Like, oh no, it's already here.
Oh crap. Oh, we're too late.
And
We're
Batman's
way
like,
too late.
yeah, and Batman's like, quick, take us back to Earth Zero. We could probably deal with it there, as opposed to, you know, in your stupid wish-granting ship that exists in a Wildstorm invention. Let's get out of here before Grifter shows
I'm
up.
not even supposed to be here.
Quick, take us back to Earth Zero. We can deal with it there. How? By not being in this book.
Yeah, quick, teleport me back first. Batman's like, I have the key to all of this. Listen to me very carefully. Teleport me directly to Gotham City. Okay. Bloop.
Wait, now what?
Woo! Done. Don't have to worry about that anymore.
That's probably not going to be a problem.
I have a sneaking metatextual suspicion that I will emerge unscathed.
Whatever's happening, I think I'll be okay.
Will not affect me and possibly Nightwing. Wait, is Dan DiDio still working here? No?
No.
Don't worry, Dick, you're okay. So, anyway, they're like, so Ollie's like, psh, don't worry about this. The Justice League's here, even though I wasn't fucking invited.
I will sign everybody up for a battle with the greatest evil the world's ever known.
Because I can shoot arrows. So Dr. Multiverse teleports everybody to the battle.
Oh?
Or the front line, I should say.
I was like, isn't the battle there?
Yeah.
Well, no, the Great Darkness is attacking them in their ship. But the real battle is on the Omega Earth. So now they're here in the presence of Multiverse 2 or Negative 2. The dashes are always very confusing.
Right. And
I think it's Multiverse 2.
multiverse, and it's a whole other multiverse.
It's a whole secret multiverse that no one ever knew about. As a matter of fact, the Multiverse 2 is more or less the multiverse that was destroyed in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh.
They call it the remnants of a dead multiverse killed by the Great Darkness.
Right.
And even though the Great Darkness didn't cause the Crisis on Infinite Earths, even though it did, according to one of these.
Yeah, it's in here. The
Yeah.
multiverse in
So
here.
technically, this is the multiverse, not the one that was reignited, but
Right.
rather the old one, maybe.
The old one, it's still. They didn't rebirth it. It's still there.
It's
There's
still
the
there.
one
They
word
made
is actually
another
a totally new one.
Totally new multiverse. That's why it has remnants of things you remember, but they're also new and special.
Right.
So then Pariah shows back up and he's like, I have a great machine. And I'm like, how many of these books have great machines?
All of them.
I mean, and it's true. They all do.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jack Kirby would just applaud you because like
Yes.
he loves a big, complicated machine.
A doohickey.
Yeah.
Jack Kirby loves a big, complicated doohickey. And so
Yep.
I had a great machine, and now I have this slightly smaller okay machine.
oh,
You explained it really well. I think it was you, where it's like, well, that's what like magic is. Like science now is what they thought magic was.
Right.
So like what seems like fantastical magic stuff, futuristic stuff, well, that's just a machine.
It's just a great
that you don't
machine.
understand yet.
yeah, that's right. This, however, is an antimatter chamber that apparently started the Great Crisis, and he will use to fix his problem because if you recall, you probably don't, Pariah was forced to watch the multiverse be destroyed. And I believe it's like his Earth was the first one to fall, and he was a great scientist who was exploring the multiverse anyway, and so he was forced to bear witness. And so the trauma of having watched every Earth fail and die and be powerless to stop it made him insane, or at the very least insanely sad.
Yeah.
And so he's going to fix this mistake now by using his great machine. And they're like, what?
What?
And they're like, yeah,
Is that a time machine?
no, I'm working with the Great Darkness, and we're gonna fix this together if I give him what he wants.
Okay, you're working with the Great Darkness?
That's right. That's
No.
right. That's right. And they're like, don't do that. And he's like, no!
It's like the only thing that matters is what I remember being good and cool.
And I mean, like, if this was written by Jeff Johns, it'd be a lot more heavy-handed, and they would have a lot more appearances by characters from before the 80s.
Well, if it was written by Jeff Johns, I don't think that Pariah trying to
Would be
bring
the
back
villain.
would be the bad guy.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This is like an anti-rebirth, where it's like, no! Wally's cool! I like Nightwing!
Let me have the things that I like that are
The things that they
new.
changed, bring back Bloodlines. Pariah's like, we gotta kill your world to get my multiverse back on track, so
Sorry.
we gotta hit you with these weapons that the Great Darkness gave me to unleash on you, his Dark Army. And his Dark Army, we talked about this before, this may still be surprising to you, but we showed the silhouettes of everybody, but here they are! It's the Dark Army, and it's just the heaviest hitters,
Yeah.
all under the thrall of the Great Darkness, who now have to fight the Justice League. So you thought Death of Superman fighting Doomsday was badass? Well, what if the whole effing Justice League has to fight Doomsday and Eclipso and Darkseid and Necron and Ares, God of War,
Yeah.
everybody.
Pariah should hate all those characters because all of them came after the
Crisis.
universe that he thinks is the only one that should exist.
Well, and I also noticed that there is one glaring omission, and it's the Batman who laughs.
I didn't know if he was in the crevices somewhere.
He was not. He was deliberately not involved. And I understand. It's not a dig. It is
No.
actually, I think, because Scott and Josh are colleagues and friends, I believe it was listen, we just did that.
Right.
You know, the Batman laughs evolved into the
People need a break from.
he needs a break, people need a break, like let him rest.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want to overuse your creation and make him
Yeah.
feel not special.
Yeah.
we're gonna
And I'm
wear
like,
'em out.
yeah, that being said, these characters that are also like some of the biggest evil, heaviest hitters. So the Justice League fight the Dark Army. And it's like, okay, you know what? Admittedly, that's fun.
Yeah.
And also, if you're going to kill the Justice League, who will kill the Justice League?
Right.
Lex Luthor?
Hopefully not.
I mean, if you're going to do that, Superman, I remember, at the very least, a little bit when the Death of Superman came out. I vaguely remember it. But I do remember people being kind of pissed. older people.
Yeah.
That it was just some bony
Just some-
monster from the
yeah.
stars instead of just Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Like,
or Brainiac.
Brainiac, anybody, but they were like, no. Like, you mean to tell me that Lex Luthor didn't invent Doomsday and like laugh maniacally off the scenes?
Right.
I'm like, Lex Luthor is dead, and he's in the clone body of his son, Lex Luthor II, and he,
Lest you forget.
yeah, he looks like a He-Man character right now.
So he definitely shouldn't kill Superman.
No.
That guy?
Yeah, that guy.
He doesn't even know Superman.
No, he mean it's Lex Luthor. It really is Lex Luthor
Well,
in that body. It's a clone body.
Yeah.
He should just quietly.
But was it?
Yeah, no, it
Then?
was.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, it
was
was.
all- okay.
When they unveil Lex Luthor II as the illegitimate Australian son of Lex Luthor, they knew when they unveiled him that secretly Lex Luthor's brain was inside that body.
Okay.
Who's upside down Venom?
That's the Upside Down Man.
That's the Upside Down Man.
I just introduced you to a villain called the Upside Down Man, and you said at the same breath, "Who's the Upside Down guy?"
But who's that guy who's upside down?
Pariah taunts the Justice League as they engage with the Dark Army, and you're like, "All right, cool."
So it is cool, and yet it would. It's just, oh, they're gonna be killed by just really powerful guys who are just gonna like punch them really hard or something.
Yeah.
Like it would argue. I mean, it's arguably the same problem with Doomsday, where it's like, really, it's just a big guy with bigger muscles.
But
than
Doomsday's in it,
Superman.
too.
I know, but like. It would have been more
So I'm addressing it.
interesting and earned if Lex Luthor had killed Superman, because that would have to be like a plan.
Yes.
And then you could see the plan unfold instead of just seeing people just.
But they're not killed by those characters. They're killed by Pariah.
Yeah, and
using
the Great
those
Darkness.
characters.
Yeah, the Great Darkness is killing the Justice League by way of characters you'd rather see kill the Justice League anyway.
All right. Well, is it an interesting fight?
I mean, you can tell me. Meanwhile, Batman enlists Black Canary. He's like, we got to stop Pariah from using his machine. Let's just throw the Justice League and Justice League Incarnate at that problem.
Right.
And by the way, I mean, like, not for nothing. You know, Eclipso is a massive problem. Doomsday by himself destroyed a Justice League.
Right.
Now he's side by side with the God of War, who is not bound by any kind of insane godlike
Right.
pantheon law. So it's like,
Yeah.
just,
Each of these villains is a match for the whole Justice League,
yes.
and there's multiples of them.
Most of these characters haven't even met the Upside Down Man. They don't even know what he's up for. Wonder Woman's like, just
Or upside
quietly
down
going,
for.
Yeah. God damn it. What's Aquaman gonna do against Neron the Devil?
I don't know.
Right?
What's Aquaman gonna do against any of them? They're
Yeah.
not in water.
I mean, Aquaman is the first one to battle Doomsday. And he breaks his mighty spear on Doomsday's hide. So it's like,
okay.
uh-oh.
It's a trident.
Oops. Yeah, it is. You're right. I'm sorry. It's Trident. So while Batman tries to make his way to the machine, Necron of the Blackest Night attacks him. So we get to see Hawkgirl and Black Adam fight the Empty Hand, who we know was a formidable opponent since he practically fought Darkseid to a standstill. And the Upside Down Man is throwing shit at Zatanna and Captain Carrot. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Wonder Woman's fighting Ares, and she's like, Ares would be better at fighting all of us than this. He's the god of war. There's no strategy to this fight. Like, if Ares was here, he's like, holy shit, I got Doomsday. I know how to use him properly. They just seem like half-powered, half-intelligent versions of themselves.
Also, I hit them 3 times and they're starting to blink red.
Then keep spamming your attack. But at least they're not clones or hard light duplicates. They really are themselves, but they are diminished by the Great Darkness because the Great Darkness is so encompassing and stretching. It's puppeting them and using them, but it's stretching itself so thin that it's hard to use them at their fullest capacity or something. So
I see. So if they were free agents,
yeah,
they would
probably fight
effective.
each other or the Justice League or whatever.
They wouldn't even be doing this.
It would be a more fun
like,
fight.
It's hard to even. You have to like force them to fight in this way.
Especially because they're so freaking powerful.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
they're not
diminishes
team
their
players.
ability.
Yeah. Darkseid tries to tell Superman, the Great Darkness is the end of everything. I'm breaking through my chains. Don't worry about it. This is a problem. And
Don't kill me though,
but
because I'm fighting it.
And if the Great Darkness is freed, like if it's able to do what it needs to do, then we will be freed and we'll be at our full power and under the control of the Great Darkness. So it's even worse.
Oh. Okay.
So Black Adam attacks him, and then he gets the crap kicked out of him because he's Black Adam. And then Jon Stewart unleashes the God Storm.
Where does it come from?
Jon Stewart went through like an ascension during his run, and in it he achieved the Godstorm, and the Godstorm
super green.
he just became super green, and now he can make all kinds of crazy shit, and he's super powerful, and that's why he's like so much more green. And he's able to unleash like other fun characters that are not invited and aren't technically part of this. You know, like
So he can just
the Atom.
make people.
Yeah, which we've seen Green Lanterns do.
Are
So
they
right, but
themselves?
usually-
or-
No.
Oh, okay.
no, they're weapons that he's using. Like it's Cyborg, but also I mean it's not. Don't say hi or tell him your like Wi-Fi password. He won't remember.
He only knows what I know, and I don't.
I don't know much
I
about
don't know
Cyborg.
that stuff.
And
Yeah,
he
but-
looks like he did in the 80s, so like I don't really remember Cyborg.
He could like make his body into constructs and things.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the same powers. It's not like he could make like Superman and have him be
No.
heat vision.
Well, he can shoot green energy out of his eyes that looks like heat vision, but it
Look,
wouldn't.
yeah, it looks like it, but
It
it's
wouldn't
not.
be Superman.
I can't
Although,
make the Atom and have him change molecules.
No.
No, but he can be big
Right.
or small.
And it's a representation of how powerful he is.
Yes.
Like when you make like a locomotive and it runs into somebody, like you could just make a big beam of light and hit them. But like
Yeah.
it's more fun and
If I make it
interesting,
this.
and it's my like imagination like conjuring it. So like
Yeah.
it's not literally the thing.
And it's a Justice League book, so it's like, hey, you know, not featured Hal Jordan, Cyborg, Deadman, Plastic Man, Atom, Starfire.
Yeah,
you know,
and
it's like,
arguably they're still not in it, but like
but
a
physically,
version
what are you
of them
talking
is.
about?
Well, they're green. Those characters aren't green.
That's right. No, but I get to
Yeah,
see.
well, they were black and white when I drew them.
But I got to see them in the book, and so they are here now, and so they're kicking ass.
I'm sorry, I was thinking
Cool.
Firestorm.
Yes.
Firestorm can change molecules.
That's right. Yes.
So he unleashes the Godstorm. Does that help them turn the tide?
Absolutely not.
Oh.
No, but it stems the tide.
I see.
You know, things were not going
It
well.
makes it plausible that they could continue
to
be
battle
alive
everybody
for a little bit longer.
Yeah, as they fight the Devil, who's shoulder to shoulder with Doomsday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and other characters like Eclipso, who's technically the Spectre.
Oh, that's right.
But thanks to Darkseid murdering the Quintessence, now they're part of the Dark Army, and so Pariah unleashes them, which
Oh.
also includes the Spectre. So now the Spectre is the Spirit of Darkness, and here he is, and he. Oh crap!
Oh, I thought
the
Eclipso
Spectre
was
is
the Spectre.
He was the Eclipso was the Spectre. Spectre got Eclipso's job.
Oh, okay.
It's God's wrath.
Right.
And he's already fighting them.
And now he's working for the
So now we got-
for the darkness.
Yeah, because he was killed by Darkseid, who was powered by the
Right.
darkness.
Yeah, but he's God's wrath. Like, how could he be working for?
Why didn't God stop the Batman Who Laughs from chucking universes at Perpetua?
Right. You can't pull that thread.
So Pariah's like, oh, my power bar is almost at fucking 100% or whatever.
Oh,
And
yeah?
Batman's like, oh, no, you don't.
If they're fighting the actual devil, how come there aren't angels on their side?
Right? Because there are. One of them was a member of the Justice League. And Josh loved that character because they were a member of the Justice League during the Morrison era. Where is Zariel? Anyway, the characters are trying to get in the machine. They can't. And, Batman's being stopped. Now, there's shadow demons that are unleashed because it's a video game.
Oh, no.
And it's not enough that, like, the Black Lantern god known as Necron is here. We also need some fun little silhouettes to attack them. Look, okay, everybody needs
cannon
lackeys.
fodder.
You need
Yeah.
cannon fodder. So they're attacking them. Black Canary clears a path, and then Green Arrow goes, and here's why I'm on the Justice League, motherfuckers. And then just whips out an arrow and fires it at Pariah's machine. We get to see like how great his aim is, and it goes through all these different fights.
Yeah,
which-
but at the same time, couldn't Superman just hit it with a heat vision?
Yeah, but I assume that all the other villains are dogpiling on Superman.
Right.
Though it seems like he's pretty clear right now. He's taking a minute to just watch the Godstorm be unleashed. So, you'd think Superman could just heat vision it. But you know what? Also, give Green Arrow a shot.
Well,
Everyone could somehow take out this machine.
Yeah.
But
yes.
everyone overlooks Oliver Queen.
That's right. And Ollie does justify his existence by taking that trick shot and making it happen.
Right.
And he does, and he destroys the machine. Pariah's like, you idiots! Damn it!
And
So
then
then
what was the machine doing?
the machine was an antimatter chamber that was going to essentially trigger another crisis and destroy. The plan is we're going to destroy
It was
Earth
gonna
Zero.
restore the old multiverse 2, by
Presumably
destroying the current
Earth Prime
one.
or Earth Zero.
Yeah, I had to make room for it.
Right.
Well,
I
no,
needed
it's
the energy from
it's
it
that
or
it's
something.
that Earth Zero is like an epicenter Earth. It's like the center of everything, and so like
Right.
if it's where like the multiverse stems from and stuff.
Keep
Right.
all of this.
Yeah. So Oliver Queen's like, got it, and all the friggin' shadow men, they disappear or dissipate or retreat. And he's like, you're welcome. All right, party back at my place. I'll make chili.
Okay.
And then Doomsday caves in his head.
Oh, shit.
And, you know, it's Doomsday versus Green Arrow. And there's a reason why Green Arrow wasn't at the first fight.
Right.
Because this would happen.
He would just die.
And so he does. And Black Canary's like, why did you even come here, you idiot? And she's like, why did you follow me? And he's like, I'll follow you anywhere, pretty bird. And Pariah's like, it's cool that he died. I can still fix this machine, and then everything will be okay. And the Trinity shows up. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are like, we're going to kick your ass. And he's like, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. In fact, you've only delayed the inevitable because now, and then everyone, Barry Allen's from Crisis. We watch Batman turn into bones. We watch Superman turn into bones. Wonder Woman, bones. But not only them.
Actually, Wonder Woman, clay.
No, she's bones too.
No, I know.
bones
Bones,
somehow.
then clay.
Then bones again.
And then clay.
And then back into old woman. And then for some reason she's a duck. I'm sorry, it's a swan.
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 But then, you know, Mr. Godstorm over here, bones. Zatanna, bones. Aquaman, bones. Everyone's bones.
He could just do that by just pointing at them and going, blah.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just do that at the beginning?
Well, you know, I got all these fun villains that are going to fight the Justice League, and thought that'd be kind of cool to see.
Well, now my machine is destroyed, so my backup plan is bones.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna bones you, but then you
No.
broke my machine and now I'm mad.
Yeah,
So
listen.
now you're bones, okay?
You wrecked my engine of destruction, and now we got to ride the bone train. So then Black Adam, who's the key to all of this,
Oh, yeah.
gives everyone the people's eyebrow and then attacks Pariah.
Yeah.
And he's not powerful enough. Pariah's like, I'm super powerful now. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's this big movie coming out called Black Adam. Stars The Rock.
Yeah.
Gonna be huge.
I'm aware.
No, it doesn't. It stars Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting.
Dead naming him.
So then Pariah's like, all right, so I pushed Black Adam out of the way so his big movie could still happen. But how about you, Justice League Incarnate? Bones!
What is the in-universe justification for why he doesn't get bones? But everyone else does, literally.
It's just, we need one person to tell Earth that the Justice League is dead.
Right.
And it's going to be Black Adam. Now, it had to be somebody, and I can imagine before there was a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson vehicle in a DC property, that maybe it was Green Arrow, and like that's why Green Arrow was going to be here. But as I recall, I think Green Arrow was always brought here to die.
Why? Just to show how super serious it is? Because they all die.
Yeah, but
he
no
dies
one's
different.
head gets caved in.
Yeah.
And that actually is important to Dark Crisis.
And also remember that when they bury Allen, he
didn't
just
really
goes
die.
to a different plane. He goes
Right.
to a different existence.
Yeah, well,
Right.
and it's funny because he's done that twice now. In Crisis, he's bonesed into the Speed Force.
Yeah.
But in Infinite Frontier, he's bonesed into Flashpoint 1.
Right.
Yeah.
So you assume that that's what happens to these characters.
You assume that they're
But
dead.
Ollie is dead.
Yeah.
Because he's
Yeah.
hit by a
Yeah.
fist.
He's
Ollie's
hit by a
all dead.
doomsday.
That's right, yeah.
Like these people are bones in a way where other people who were bones actually didn't die.
Yes.
So maybe they didn't die either.
What? But it's called Death of the Justice League.
Well, I mean, they were bones, so
Yeah.
they did die, but
They
maybe
did
they just
and then they're reborn.
and then they're reborn or fucking whatever.
on their own
It's
Earth.
not a lie.
No, it's not a lie. if you
Except
believe
it is.
I will say that at the last second, as Black Adam is... Pariah does try to bones Black Adam. But while he is in the boning process,
Black Adam
Well,
bones
he's getting
him back.
boned.
Black Adam then shouts Shazam.
Oh.
And it makes him go someplace else so that he doesn't get bones.
Why does he say Shazam? Is that what he says?
Yeah, they both say Shazam.
Oh, they both say. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. The power comes from the same place.
I guess it's the same thing. Yeah. It's the
So-
same guy, right? It was a man, right? A wizard named Shazam. Or some
Yeah,
shit?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So Black Adam disappears, or rather, goes away.
Right.
And Pariah is harmed, but alive and part of the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And the Justice League is dead. Justice League Incarnate, dead.
Right.
Bones. It's over.
Yeah.
So then we go to the Hall of Justice where, you know, the rest of the Justice League is, including Wally and Naomi. Remember Naomi?
What do you mean the rest
No.
of the Justice League? I
Well-
thought the Justice League died.
Yeah, the ones you like. The real Justice League. But like,
This was
look,
like the new Justice League. that
Detective
Superman was
Chimp
working
is
on.
here. All right? No disrespect to Bobo, but, you know, he's a Justice League darker. He's not a Justice Leaguer. But hey, look, aged up John is here, and he's Superman also. So, we got ourselves a Superman. We got a spare.
We do have a Superman. Superman's not dead.
Yeah. We got
Superman is dead.
A Superman is alive.
There's a Flash here.
There's even a Flash. We're good. So a huge crash is felt at the Hall of Justice. Wally, Naomi, and Superman, Jonathan Kent, respond, and it's Black Adam. And he says, the Justice League are dead. Oh no. What are we going to do about this? Well, there is one more chapter before we actually see what happens. And that chapter isn't really important, but it is because you want to see what these characters are up to. And so I'll spoil it in as much as the Justice League are not dead, and the whole book is a lie. But they are unmade, they're bones. I mean, look, if I was turned into bones from an energy blasting from the fingertips of an antagonist, and I was reborn on another Earth called Sal Point 1.
For us,
I did die.
You'd be dead.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you're dead.
I was turned into bones and then exited this plane of existence. I mean, I don't know how else you can clearly define death.
Right.
But I am still alive, though.
Right.
So are the bones left behind, or are they vaporized?
No, the
No, 'cause
bones
Barry Allen didn't
conveniently
leave
disappear.
bones behind.
No, we just see him become bones, but
And then he,
there aren't
vanishes.
12 or 13 different individual piles of bones throughout the
It's
planet.
like
Yeah. It's almost like a shockwave.
Yeah.
Or in the case of Barry Allen, who went into the Speed Force until he didn't, I always interpret it as he's passing through time in a second.
Yes.
And so he does become bones, but then the bones disintegrate.
they undo, they age into nothing.
Yeah,
or something.
1,000 years passed in the blink of an eye for him.
Right, yeah.
So it happened. Because time passed for them somehow.
It's interesting. Batman not only turns into bones, his costume disappears.
Yeah.
Superman
rots
turns
away.
into bones, and the costume disappears.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman turns into bones. The tiara remains.
Because it's made of metal, and metal would last for thousands of years.
That's true, and it's
But
enchanted
their
god
costumes
metal. So.
wouldn't, that also.
Yeah, Batman's cowl would rot and age.
Yeah.
But not that tiara.
Yeah, but isn't his costume Kryptonian? Doesn't it
No.
withstand stuff?
It was that in the New 52, but they threw that out.
Yeah.
It was Kryptonian battle armor in New 52. But in the main continuity, for all intents and purposes, it's made by Ma.
There's a version of his powers where his invulnerability extends a millimeter from
Well,
his skin
he
or
does
something.
have a telekinetic field around him.
Yeah, which I
So-
think explains why his suit doesn't get torn and stuff.
Right, but when it does, things are super serial.
Right.
So yeah, each member of the Justice League is sent to their own Earth. Where
Just like
they're-
Barry was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's their kind of ideal Earth, it's their paradise Earth.
Yeah. I like that because it's the same thing that already happened. It's not some random other thing where
No.
you're like, wait, why did that happen to Barry, but this other thing happened to them? No. This guy has the ability to
send
you to a universe where you are kept contented, and why wouldn't he just do it every time? And he does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's like, the Great Darkness sent my Dark Army to fight you, but you circumvented that by breaking my machine. So you know what? You all get a paradise dimension. You get a paradise dimension. You get
I've
a paradise
determined
dimension.
that this is the only way
Everybody
to
gets
solve my
paradise.
problem is to do the paradise dimension.
Yeah.
And maybe it's
I guess-
painful to do it.
thank
but it usually
you.
does.
Yeah, it's hard. Right, but okay. Then we get into the
We
philosophy
also know
of,
it doesn't last.
well, it's fragile.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna snap out of it, or someone's gonna snap them out of it, or whatever.
Yeah, there's a whole story,
Yeah.
World Without a Justice League, where we see characters interact, or rather, wake up from their stupor, and then have to travel to all the Earths and collect the Justice League and then bring them back. But there will be a new Justice League, birthed from the death of the Justice League, that will rise to fight the Great Darkness. And it will be short-lived.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah.
thanks for keeping our seats warm.
Well, and also, they were technically cold because there had not been a Justice League book.
Right.
So, get out of the way, Titans. Thanks for nothing.
Do they give that Justice League a name?
No.
What do we call
the
them?
new Justice League,
Okay.
which is a good name.
Are they the
that's fine.
same Justice League as before?
No.
Well, it's
the
it's
new
we just saw them,
No,
right?
he's
It's
asking about
Dawn,
the Justice League that replaces these guys,
Yeah.
the seat warmers.
Oh,
the
okay.
Sea Warmers. Yeah, how do we refer to them when we're talking about that comic book?
We never do. It's never come up. No one has ever been like, actually, I love that Justice League, and I wish they got more time. I'm sure there will be one in the comments, but outside of that, there were no readers who were buying things that would have sustained the sales of that book.
They're called the Still Alive League.
the left behinds, the leftovers.
Right. The ones that the Justice League Incarnate didn't think were powerful enough to help.
The second stringers.
Second stringers, if you will, yeah. Yeah. That's why there's 2 Blue Beetles on that team.
Jesus. Why would you do that if you weren't going to have a new Justice League
I know.
book?
Because there was no time.
One issue.
I know. There was no time. There was no time to, like, have us kick the can down the road. The Dark Crisis had to happen. We had to have it out. And we just established the new Justice League within the pages of Dark Crisis.
Yeah.
So, like...
they're established and destroyed within the same event.
Yes, that's right. Well, I mean, those characters will continue and persist.
Their team...
It barely holds together when they show up. Like, they're like, hi, we're the new Justice League. And then they're like, oh, I don't know about this.
Well, yeah. Because you only exist because the old Justice League died and, like, you need one.
Yeah.
That's a shaky foundation to... But Justice League Incarnate is the same friggin' thing. They're like, are we a team? We weren't.
No, they were before that. It's just that they then changed their name to Incarnate. But they had been a team. They were originally the Multiversal Watchers in their House of Heroes.
Well, that is a terrible name, so...
Well, I agree.
Justice League Incarnate is better.
Yeah. So, the Justice League dies. This is the first, last, and only time you're going to see the Justice League die all at the same time. With that level of heavy hitters as villains, even though
they don't defeat them.
They don't defeat them, and they don't have any discernible personalities outside of Darkseid, kind of.
And they don't really do anything, and
No,
they're
that's right.
half-powered versions of themselves.
But also, they're all like just chained.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah. By the Great Darkness.
I don't like that visual
Well, you don't like the chains?
cue, I guess.
You don't like
I'm not a
seeing the
fan either
chains?
because it also just says, oh, well, they're not really the guys. Like, it's like it's
but if they
chain
were,
variant Doomsday. It's not Doomsday.
It's like
Correct.
seeing all of them with like little purple lights in their eyes.
Yes.
But it's not really you.
Right, it'd be like if Eclipso
Correct.
took all of them over and they all had half moon faces. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but,
like,
but you couldn't do it because they would just win in like a second if they were full power.
well, and that's very true.
Except for the fact that there's infighting.
Right, you'd
But
have to
they're-
have them all fight each other,
yeah.
but then they wouldn't infight if they were all controlled by like a exterior force
That's
like
the thing,
Eclipso or
yeah.
the Great Darkness. But don't worry, because the Dark Army is not done. They will return, and they will kick ass, and it will look
Yeah?
awesome. I mean,
Will it?
listen.
The
I
Dark
said-
Army will return in the next episode.
Yes, the Dark Army will kick ass. And when I say
Okay.
that, I don't mean like it's gonna kick ass. I mean they kick asses.
Right, literally. kick
Asses are
people in
kicked
the
by the
ass.
Dark Army.
Yeah, I mean that's cool.
And it is cool.
It's a shame because I care way more about like what happens with the heroes who get put in the Hero.1.
That's why there's a whole book
universe.
about
I'm
that.
Like that's a cool idea. I've
is.
seen that idea before,
Yeah.
but like I haven't seen it here this way.
No.
So I'm like, that's an idea.
And each
that's
of-
like a metaphorical thing, like a universe without superheroes. What if Superman was,
Yeah.
you know, like yeah.
Oh, and it's great because it takes a what if concept and applies it to their world.
Yeah.
You know, like something is different that makes them have this paradise world, and are they happy or not?
Right.
And they're all given to different creative teams like Tom King. And so
yeah,
you do
nice.
get to explore that in a
Right.
like genuine and creative way. And it was just a great opportunity that Josh created for these other creators to do something neat.
Yeah.
And also, Black Canary's Earth has an Ollie on it. Because he's not supposed to be there. He wasn't invited. He wasn't part of the whole
Oh.
orchestral plan.
Interesting.
So that's kind of fun.
I was gonna say it'd be neat if we saw like a couple of the superheroes where there's like, I would rather stay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're going to see that. Yeah, you're going to see characters go like,
Yeah.
why would I go?
Yeah, but this
Yeah,
is
some of them
everything
are
I
like,
ever
no,
wanted.
this isn't right. I have to break free, and some of them are just like, I've never had it so good.
Well, and one of them is going to be like, but if I go back, my head was caved in by Doomsday. Will I go into my old body and
Right.
die?
Oh, sweetie, you're not actually Ollie.
You're my
You're the-
memories of him.
You're the yeah.
oh.
Well, I don't feel like the memories of him.
But I feel like I want things and have agency.
You're just a zombie
because
saying that. I'm the only one who's real.
Because
You know,
I
like my
want you to
Nana.
say that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're only saying that because I'm aware of the situation.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
no!
what I think you would say. That's why you're saying it. You don't have agency.
Let me guess.
It's the
You could-
Matrix or
Let me guess, you could go for chicken wings right now. Yeah, because I could go for chicken wings right now.
Oh
Of course you can go for chicken wings. Everyone loves chicken wings.
Penultimate chapter, technically World Without a Justice League happens like concurrently with the Dark Crisis, but we're not going to do that.
Okay.
I'm not going to try and explain Earth.Batman while we're also talking about the truth behind Pariah's plan and the Great Darkness.
Right.
We're just going to do that one at a time. And I think that'll be fine because a lot of people didn't read World of Justice League.
No.
So I think that'll be worth exploring. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Like I said, that's
You
what
wanna
I
see
want.
that,
I
exactly.
care about that. I don't care about another big bad, another friggin' Perpetua, another
Well, I mean,
like super evil thing that's like the evilest thing that ever happened, and it's like the one before all of them, except for the new one that you haven't heard about yet.
I mean, that is what this is about, though.
I know.
I mean, but at least, I will say, it's funny because Josh does do all that. But he earns it by explaining where it all came from. Like, the main bad guy is Pariah, classic villain
Right.
from history. The Great Darkness has been established for a long time. We're just now finally getting to it. His retconning of every villain in any crisis-like event from DC being an extension of the Great Darkness is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's
Those are
weird we didn't
interesting
see
ideas.
like dark chains around them though.
well, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's
He just started doing the chain thing.
yeah, as a visual representation of the fact that they are under control.
Yeah.
Right. So lest you forget, they're not themselves.
Yeah.
That's why you can fight them.
Right.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to fight them. But I want to see them fight, so I have to come up with a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, whatever. I do like that he incorporates all that stuff. It's just that like that already happened.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, all those fun ideas were already done in these other books, which I have other problems with. But
Sure.
But what's gonna happen? That's cool.
Next.
Like, why do I care how they get punched in the face and
Well,
defeated?
I mean-
by not the Justice League.
Yeah, well, because it's about legacy and contemporary comics and the present day versus nostalgia.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, I
Dark
do
Crisis is
like-
about things, even though it is just one big fight.
Right. But Pariah's in
With
there, so
different
you know it's
characters?
going to be about something. So like
Yeah.
that's something. I care more about Pariah, I guess, than the
Than the
'cause-
Great Darkness, because
yeah.
it's not a character. It's
Yeah.
it's just a thing.
Yeah.
It's the nothing for the
It's-
never-ending
it's
story.
a little too abstract.
I'm more afraid of Gamork than I am of the fucking clouds.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you
Correct.
shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's right. Because a big scary wolf is at least interesting, but being afraid of apathy is certainly more justifiable and true.
Yeah.
And is going to happen.
And it's going to happen. It's inevitable.
yeah.
Call my name. Here we go. Countdown to the Dark Crisis.
The road to the Dark Crisis.
We're almost there, baby. Just another couple exits and we'll be there. And I'm excited to talk about it. But thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys next week with another episode. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Ben.
Keep reading.